Imagine a time when ancient people used a substance called DMT to communicate with entities from other dimensions, foresee the future, and travel through time and space. Recent studies show that the substance that gave them such powers is produced naturally by the human body every single day. Could this mean that each of us also possesses such abilities? The truth about DMT will change how you perceive reality forever. What are the secrets of DMT, the spirit molecule? How did ancient civilizations use it, and why the CIA does not want you to know any of this? We'll find out together in this new episode of Secret Origins. Welcome. What does science has to say about DMT? Imagine discovering a secret key to the deepest mysteries of the mind and time travel itself. That's what happened when the Beat generation stumbled upon DMT in the 1960s. They called it the businessman's trip because it was fast, intense, and it didn't last long. Perfect for people with busy lives. But what seemed like just a quick escape from life's pressures turned out to hold secrets far beyond anyone's imagination. Back then, scientists and doctors were just beginning to explore the complex world of psychedelic drugs, yet their research was often met with fear and legal challenges. Take John C. Lilly, for instance, a daring neuroscientist who conducted secret LSD experiments with dolphins funded by the CIA in a hidden lab. Or Carlos Castaneda, an anthropologist who ventured into Mexico to study with a shaman who used peyote mushrooms. His book, The Teachings of Don Juan, sparked a huge interest in peyote, overshadowing DMT. However, by the late 1970s, the CIA decided to halt all research on hallucinogens, casting a shadow over this mysterious world. But the story didn't end there. In 1990, Dr. Rick Strassman, a brave and curious professor at the University of New Mexico, received rare permission from the DEA to study DMT. Even more astonishing, he was allowed to test it on humans. What he discovered was beyond his wildest dreams. In his own words,
I was drawn to DMT because of its presence in all of our bodies. I believe the source of this DMT was the mysterious pineal gland, a tiny organ situated in the center of our brains. Modern medicine knows little about this little gland's role, but it has a rich metaphysical history.
DMT, it turns out, is naturally produced in our bodies and in plants. Strassman believed it was deeply connected to our evolution. The pineal gland, often overlooked, was considered by philosophers like Descartes as one of the most important organs. In Hindu tradition, it's known as the third eye, believed to grant people extraordinary vision. Driven by this, Strassman set out to uncover the true power of the pineal gland and its connection to DMT. So, what exactly is DMT? This simple chemical unlocks the door to breathtaking visions, thoughts, and feelings. It exists in humans, animals, plants, and fungi. It's especially abundant in plants from Latin America, where people have known about its powers for thousands of years. Early explorers like Spruce and von Humboldt witnessed Amazon natives consuming DMT. They saw the natives twitching, vomiting, and speaking incoherently after drinking a concoction called ayahuasca, meaning spirit liana. These explorers brought samples back to Europe but didn't dare to try them themselves. Fast forward to 1990, when Dr. Strassman began his groundbreaking research with human volunteers. Over 5 years, he administered doses of DMT to 12 volunteers, one high, two medium, and one low dose, along with a sugar-water placebo. He navigated a maze of legal and bureaucratic hurdles, but finally received DEA approval along with the necessary drugs. What he found was astounding. Dr. Strassman discovered that a pregnant woman's pineal gland releases a significant amount of DMT exactly 49 days after conception, which he interpreted as the moment the spirit enters the fetus. Even more fascinating, DMT affects not just how the brain creates perceptions, but also how it receives information. This means that what people see or experience during a DMT trip is not just their imagination, it's a reality. Dr. Strassman suggested that DMT could help our brains perceive dark matter, parallel universes, and the realms with conscious entities, opening doors to scientific discoveries that usually require expensive equipment. As modern science delves deeper into understanding DMT, it becomes clear that knowledge of this powerful substance has been around for millennia. Ancient people already knew about DMT long before it was discovered by modern science, over 6,000 years ago. Prehistoric people in Spain depicted mushroom use in their cave paintings. These drawings show shamans in out-of-body experiences. It's astonishing that different ancient cultures around the world drew the same strange beings, likely seen during their psychedelic journeys. The ancient Egyptians, for example, often depicted themselves smelling blue lotus flowers, which are rich in DMT. This flower allowed them to communicate with animal entities, influencing their religious beliefs and even the architecture of their magnificent structures. The controversial pharaoh Akhenaten and his famous wife Nefertiti created a whole new religion based on their visions after using this flower. They received instructions from entities to build a city in the desert where there were hidden natural wells and underground water. Everyone thought he was crazy, but he built a thriving city and a new religion around the sun god Aten, who guided him. One of Egypt's most powerful symbols, the Eye of Horus, is related to DMT experiences. When you compare the Eye of Horus to the pineal gland, which is linked to hallucinations and spiritual experiences, their shapes match perfectly. Horus taught the pharaohs how to activate the pineal gland to achieve higher states of consciousness. The Greeks also used DMT. Archaeologists have found the records of temple initiates drinking a mix of rye, barley, and the same lotus flower used by the Egyptians. This process took years, with doses increasing over time until the final initiation, which included a near-death experience. Great philosophers like Plato went through this and then wrote about their profound insights. The priestesses of Delphi and Thebes inhaled DMT-infused fumes to make accurate predictions, like the downfall of Croesus and the victory of Athens over Sparta. In Rome, these prophecies were recorded in the Sibylline books, which foretold Rome's future. Sadly, in 405 AD, the books were burned, and Rome soon fell. The oracles had even predicted the rise of Christianity and the fall of the old gods, thanks to their ability to travel to the future with DMT. When Julius Caesar conquered the Celtic tribes in Gaul, he was surprised to find they had similar DMT preparations. Druids and Gallic leaders drank a mix of henbane and meadow sweet, which together activated DMT. Pottery shards show this practice dating back thousands of years. The Celts used it to predict battles and learn about medical plants from the entities they encountered. Medieval monasteries were like sacred laboratories, growing plants like henbane, absinthe, and mandrakes, plants known for their mind-altering properties. Isolated from the rest of society, monks had the freedom to explore even the most controversial subjects. They often consumed these psychedelic substances to document their effects. Along with these botanical experiments, monks practiced fasting and meditation, techniques proven to change mental states.
One of the most intriguing figures was the French monk Nostradamus. From 1521 to 1529, he traveled across France studying herbal remedies and using DMT, which he claimed allowed him to foresee events like the death of Henry II, the rise of Adolf Hitler, and even the fall of the Twin Towers. Meanwhile, in the high mountains of Tibet, monks were pushing the boundaries of human potential.
Known for their long fasts and deep meditations, they documented their use of psychoactive substance called amrita. Some tales even suggest that these monks could move stones with the power of sound and their minds. They used DMT to awaken their third eye and practice shared with their Hindu neighbors. Hindu texts vividly describe 5 dimensions inhabited by gods and mention kings who traveled to meet them. In conversations between Krishna and the creator god Brahma, they discuss multiple universes and dimensions, revealing tools to access these realms.
These texts make direct references to the 5th dimension, where time doesn't behave as it does on Earth. Well, it is not linear. In a famous story from the Mahabharata, the ancient king Kakudmi travels with his daughter to seek the advice of the god Brahma on her marriage.
Brahma informs them that although their conversation seemed brief, over 1,000,000 years have passed on Earth. He suggests a suitor for the king's daughter, but warns that when they return, the world will be vastly different. People will have become shorter, spiritually diminished, and will have lost all knowledge of the gods and their teachings. This time has not yet come.
When we look at different societies, both ancient and modern, that have used DMT to travel to other worlds, one thing stands out: the striking similarity in their accounts.
Travelers often meet entities that guide them through their DMT experiences, and these entities always fall into a few distinct categories. Carl Jung, who spent countless nights meditating to write his famous Red Book, described some of these entities. Thousands of years of out-of-body experiences all refer to the same 10 categories of beings.
One of the most commonly reported types of entities is the jester or the trickster. That's right, these entities mock, laugh, and play with people.
Their dimension is like a carnival, constantly moving where space is unreliable and shapes change all the time. Time, reality, and physical laws are bent by the jesters. In almost every major religion, we have tricksters and prankster beings like poltergeists in Eastern Europe, Loki in the North, and Anansi from West Africa. In the Americas, there is Kokopelli and Visakajak in North America.
Another category includes light entities, which manifest as radiant orbs or beings composed of light energy.
Unlike the tricksters, these entities communicate not through words, but through emotions and telepathic impressions. They often convey messages of love, unity, and peace, emphasizing the interconnectedness of all life forms and the importance of compassion and understanding.
Similar beings are found in the mythology of ancient cultures worldwide, associated with sun deities and spiritual enlightenment. For example, the Egyptian sun god Ra, or the benevolent spirits of light in various Native American traditions.
Alien entities represent a fascinating category reported by DMT users. Described with long limbs, large eyes, and a highly advanced technological environment, these beings evoke imagery reminiscent of modern-day alien encounters.
They communicate telepathically, suggesting humanity's potential for scientific and spiritual evolution beyond our current understanding.
Elves, though distinct from alien entities, share some similarities. These beings are highly intelligent and inhabit a realm characterized by intricate mechanical and technological structures. They communicate through complex symbols and imagery, offering insights into the fundamental fabric of the universe and the non-linear nature of time.
Elves are often associated with ancient wisdom and are thought to impart knowledge that transcends ordinary human understanding.
In many cultural narratives, including European folklore and African traditions, there are accounts of small humanoid beings that resemble fairies or spirits. These entities, sometimes called fee folk or tokoloshes, are often depicted as guardians of nature or as tricksters.
They appear to travelers in altered states of consciousness, offering guidance or testing their courage and wit. On the darker side of the spectrum are demons and dark spirits. These entities manifest as menacing figures that feed on fear, anxiety, and negative emotions.
They appear in various forms across cultural and religious traditions, often depicted as malevolent forces that haunt the human psyche. Encounters with these entities can lead to what is commonly referred to as a bad trip, where the traveler confronts their deepest fears and insecurities. Despite their frightening appearance, demons are believed to possess transformative qualities, challenging individuals to confront their inner darkness and emerge stronger and more resilient. Similar to demons are dark spirits, which manifest as shadowy figures or invisible presences that instill a sense of dread and unease in travelers.
These entities are associated with themes of fear and existential anxiety, reflecting the darker aspects of the human psyche and the unknown realms of consciousness.
In stark contrast to these dark entities are angelic beings, which radiate love, compassion, and spiritual guidance. These entities communicate telepathically, conveying messages of peace, comfort, and divine purpose. They are often perceived as messengers from a higher realm or spiritual dimension, offering reassurance and enlightenment to travelers during their journeys.
Angelic beings inspire feelings of awe and reverence, embodying qualities of purity and transcendence that uplift the human spirit and offer hope in times of uncertainty.
Animal beings represent yet another category of entities encountered in DMT experiences. These entities appear as animal-like creatures or hybrids, symbolizing humanity's connection to the natural world and the animal kingdom. They teach travelers about the interconnectedness of all living beings and the sacredness of life in its myriad forms.
In ancient mythologies and religious traditions, animal beings are revered as guardians of wisdom and spiritual guides, embodying qualities of strength, intuition, and primal instincts.
Within the category of animal entities, serpent entities hold a special significance. These beings symbolize transformation, energy, and healing, often appearing as serpents or dragons in mythological narratives. They guard portals to other dimensions and offer guidance on spiritual evolution and personal growth.
Serpent entities challenge travelers to confront their fears and limitations, encouraging them to embrace change and embrace their true potential.
Lastly, there are undefined beings that defy categorization and human comprehension.
These entities appear as shapeshifters or ephemeral forms that elude conventional understanding. They communicate through abstract symbols or impressions that challenge the limits of human perception and consciousness.
Encounters with undefined beings are often described as encounters with the unknown or encounters with the ineffable. In every documented case, these entities found in different DMT dimensions fit one of these categories. In the past, these travels were more common, and contact with such entities helped ancient people receive the information needed to build monumental structures like the pyramids in Egypt and South America, Göbekli Tepe, and Stonehenge. The entities even taught ancient architects how to build tools for these impressive buildings that have survived for centuries.
The question now is, how did we lose this knowledge, and how can we regain the arcane wisdom needed for our civilization to thrive?
Rick Strassman's discoveries push the boundaries of our understanding, venturing beyond just recounting volunteers' experiences and the entities they encountered. He delves into the profound psychological consequences and philosophical implications of DMT time travel. Strassman doesn't merely suggest that volunteers, though they time traveled, he asserts that they actually did.
His studies reveal that the DMT molecule is not just linked to the spirit, but also to various temporal regimes. This means that DMT and the pineal gland can open doors to realms we might not yet be prepared to explore. Strassman's most groundbreaking discovery is this: the potential for time travel, astral projection, and communication with beings from other dimensions resides within the mind of every human being.
The next step was figuring out how to unlock these abilities and share this knowledge with the world. At this juncture, the CIA intervened, halting his DMT research. What Strassman managed to publish in his book includes some of his discoveries regarding time travel, but not everything. Ancient civilizations already had knowledge of time travel, but it was only after Albert Einstein published his work on relativity that modern science began to recognize the possibility of transcending space-time. Theoretically, traveling faster than light could create a black hole or rip through the fabric separating dimensions. However, since such speeds are unattainable for humans, the topic remained largely within the realm of theoretical physics.
But what if psychic abilities could achieve this, bypassing the need for heavy machinery? Matter operates through vibrations and frequencies, as does the brain. These vibrations and frequencies have no mass, making it easier for them to transcend time and reach other dimensions.
These brain-emitted frequencies travel like cell phone and satellite signals, eliminating the need for complex machinery. In theory, as Carlos Castaneda described 50 years ago, the mind could travel at incredible speeds, reaching distant times, places, and dimensions without even needing to leave the ground. Interestingly, psychiatrists discovered that during REM sleep, the brain emits vibrations at tremendous speeds. The frequency of the dream state is so high that it generates heat. While people often don't remember their dreams, dreaming is a form of interdimensional travel that occurs daily. The CIA has been studying REM sleep since the early 1970s and has found ways to recall the details of these journeys upon waking.
The CIA has long experimented with astral projection, reaching extraordinary conclusions. They found it possible to use brain frequencies for remote viewing, essentially spying on enemies from afar. By experimenting with REM frequencies, the CIA taught subjects to project their brain signals to distant locations on Earth, sometimes thousands of miles away.
However, They never managed to send them across dimensions, which is why Strassman's research was so crucial. Einstein's mathematics supports the existence of at least 11 dimensions, but the actual number of dimensions remains unknown. Time is one of the most familiar dimensions in our world, and it makes sense to use this technology to send minds to the past and future. The CIA hypothesized that if our brain waves were altered in a specific manner, they could theoretically operate on higher dimension. This would allow us to perceive higher dimensions even if they were initially confusing. These upper dimensional beings don't just see us, they can see into every timeline. They are not bound by our physical laws and can access the present, past, and future by jumping between dimensions.
The CIA experiments we're talking about have only been known to the public for a very short time. They were kept secret in classified documents that have only recently been released. Strassman, the researcher, didn't know about what the CIA was doing back then.
With only a few people as test subjects, the CIA wanted to see how far they could push the idea of time travel. Since the 1980s, the CIA has been experimenting with astral projection, hoping to spy on enemies. At first, their participants could only see things in nearby rooms, like inside the Pentagon, but eventually they started to view things happening on other continents. The CIA's ventures into time travel, teleportation, and interdimensional travel were done without any machines or electricity. They wanted to harness the power of the mind using psychedelics to help. They realized early on that the human brain was an incredible machine, it just needed to be unlocked.
If they could get the mind's frequencies right, they could change consciousness and move it through time and space. This would allow a direct connection to the universe without being limited by a physical space or linear time.
This secret program was called the Gateway Process. Its main goal was to access alternate dimensions. The CIA thought that if people were traveling to other dimensions while they slept, they could do it by matching the brain's frequencies. They found that using psychedelics like DMT made this easier as it created a waking dream state. But these states only lasted for a few minutes.
So, they used a slow drip of the substance to keep their subjects under for hours, giving them time to explore the interdimensional universe. Participants saw the same entities, landscapes, and geometric patterns, even though they had no contact with each other.
They brought back information they could have known and even made predictions about the future based on what the entities told them. Recently released files describe the Gateway Process and include a step-by-step guide to achieving out-of-body experiences and astral projection. They also warn about the dangers of meeting hostile beings in other dimensions who can fight on a psychic level. The CIA believes humans today can't fight back against these entities.
However, there's a possibility that people knew how to travel, fight, and communicate through the power of the mind centuries ago, but we've forgotten how. Luckily, ancient clues were left behind for us.
The CIA files explain how sound waves and frequencies can change brain waves. This can also be done through deep meditation and sleep, but without psychedelics, the effectiveness depends on the person's chemical and biological makeup. Drugs were more effective, cheaper, and easier to control. This new weapon, DMT, led to the Montauk Project and the Philadelphia experiment, making time travel, teleportation, and visits to the past theoretically possible.
The Gateway Process accounts sound like something out of a science fiction novel. Not all the files are public, so we can only wonder what secrets they still hold. Recently, another secret project, Project Stargate, has been declassified, which involves time travel.
Starting in 1975, the CIA began Project Stargate, based at the Stanford Research Institute and led by Dr. Edwin May. Dr. May confirmed that these studies involved hundreds of test subjects from the university and the public. They found that about 1% of the population showed signs of psychic abilities. That might not sound like much, but 1% of the world's population is about 80 million people. The CIA took those with potential and put them through non-invasive tests, getting incredible results almost immediately. Early experiments had subjects project their minds to hidden locations in photographs, then draw what they saw. 85% of the information they reported was accurate. Project Stargate participants shared an unusual condition called synesthesia, where senses are mixed up. They might hear colors, taste what they see, or hear what they taste. This condition can be caused by sickness or brain injury, but some people are born with it and live normally, not realizing it's unusual.
These participants spent years helping various agencies, not just the CIA. One of the best astral travelers, Joseph McMoneagle, could track a secret agent's exact location with just a social security number. Imagine, he accurately described secret facilities and drew detailed pictures of new Russian submarines before the US military knew about them. Joseph had an out-of-body experience where he nearly died, sparking the project leaders' interest. They wanted to train him to leave his body entirely and view distant places and people.
Joseph trained with Dr. Robert Monroe at the Monroe Institute, where they used sound waves to alter brain activity and simulate out-of-body experiences. After a year and a half, the CIA called on Joseph to view Mars as it looked a million years ago. Without knowing the mission, he described a desolate, reddish landscape with huge dust storms and rocky expanses. Going back further, he saw massive structures much larger than the pyramids in Egypt and buildings carved from canyons. Finally, he saw human-like beings, 10 feet tall, living in pyramids to shelter from storms that were tearing the planet apart. These beings were in hibernation, waiting for help to arrive. Joseph achieved what the CIA wanted. He wasn't just moving through space, but also skipping through time. The trace of these experiments ends in 1995, the same year Strassman's research ended. This doesn't mean they stopped. It means that the new experiments are highly secretive and the public isn't ready to learn about them yet.
For thousands of years, people across the world knew how to use DMT to send their brain waves to other dimensions. This knowledge was lost over time, and only recently has science begun to recover such ancient wisdom.
The DMT, produced in the pineal gland of every human being, holds the key to traveling through time and space, accessing the most arcane and secret knowledge that interdimensional entities can offer, and gaining a deeper understanding of who we truly are.
If you could travel interdimensional, where would you go? What would you seek to discover or experience? As it is famously said, the human mind is the last unexplored continent on Earth. Leave a like and subscribe for more mind-opening content. Keep your minds open, and until we meet again.